Nick Marchese, who was born September 1917 and grew up on the west side of Chicago. In the summer of 1941, Nick and his friends enlisted with the Illinois National Guard, stationed in Maywood, and were attached to B Company, 192nd Tank Battalion. With the expanding threat of the Japanese Imperial Army in the Pacific, General George Marshall ordered the 192nd and their fleet of M3 Stuart light tanks to assist General MacArthur in the defense of the Philippines. Private Marchese and his company arrived on Thanksgiving Day, 1941. Just hours after the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, Private Marchese and the 192nd were rushed into action as the Japanese invaded the Philippines. On December 22, 1941, the 192nd and their tanks engaged the Japanese in the first American tank battle of World War II. The 192nd Tank Battalion was the last American unit to enter the Bataan Peninsula and engaged the Japanese with little to no supplies, no air cover, no reinforcements over the next couple of months until on April 9, 1942, they were given the order to surrender. Private Marchese and the rest of his unit destroyed their tanks and surrendered to the Japanese. With no prison or internment camp nearby, the starving and sick prisoners of war were corralled together and ordered to begin a march. This would later be called the Bataan Death March. 75,000 American and Filipino prisoners of war were forced to march over 60 miles under the most barbaric of conditions. Private Marchese and the rest of his prisoners were treated as subhuman, going days without food or water, and some subjected to physical abuse while others were simply executed. Private Marchese entered and survived that march and was imprisoned at Camp O'Donnell internment camp before being set to the new Camp Kinabutan, number 1. After suffering months of mental and physical abuse, malnutrition, and rampant disease as a prisoner of war, Private Marchese succumbed to dysentery on August 1st, 1942. Of the 122 men from Company B who were sent to the Pacific Theater in 1941, only 41 returned. Private Marchese is interred with his fellow service members at the Manila Cemetery in the Philippines. Private Marchese's niece, Miss Kathleen Marchese of Buffalo Grove, contacted my office to assist her in requesting the Purple Heart for her uncle due to its death and captivity. However, the Department of Defense denied Ms. Marchese the Purple Heart due to the fact that her uncle's death was not a direct result of enemy action. Rightfully, the Department of Defense has now changed its criteria and for the eligibility. So that now all prisoners of war who died in captivity are eligible for the Purple Heart. So today, we commemorate the memory of the men and women who did not return, but who served their country. We are providing this Purple Heart for the wounds received on 1st August 1942. Private Marchese is also eligible for the Bronze Star for gallantry in action with the 192nd Tank Battalion in Pacific Theater of Operations from 7 December 41 to 10 May 42. Private Marchese's exemplary performance on the ground, combat, and defense of the Philippine Islands was rated as in the finest tradition of military service, reflecting credit upon himself and the 192nd Tank Battalion. And so, on behalf of the Department of Defense, now that they've changed their policy, the Purple Heart.
Also for my grandmother, who in 1946 did ask the Defense Department, the War Department, for a Purple Heart, and they said it just wasn't possible because he didn't meet the qualifications. I found this letter, and I contacted Senator Kirk's office, and he, with Andrew Field, who worked on this for almost 4 years. So it's credit to Senator Kirk that this is happening today.
Well, we thank you, thank all of our veterans, and especially thank the United States Navy SEALs for their resurrection. Thanks, everybody.